Howdy, folks. Welcome back to VIVALACATS. I am your host, Justin Hiles, and Steve has been replaced with an old friend, an old face. Those of you who have paid attention to the show and listened for the past few years would recognize this face every so once in a while. But it's very good to have you back, Joel. Thank you for joining me. He's going to be filling in Steve's spot along with some others as we go throughout his little 6-week plus hiatus. So, Joel, real quick, tell me how you're feeling.
I'm sad. I'm really sad.
Got to bring him back for the bad vibes.
Justin, you were talking about, how I've been on and off with the show for a couple of years and, used to be a big role. But, Justin, thinking about memories, you remember when we blew a 27-6 lead to Pitt? Because I do.
Yeah.
I was there. It wasn't fun.
No, it wasn't. It's still very fresh in the mind, unfortunately. And I think it's going to permeate for quite a while. We have a chance to forget about it by getting rid of the ghosts of last year's past and hopefully not losing to Miami 2 years in a row. I think that would cause complete chaos, but we'll dig into that a little bit more later. From the top of the show, we have to remind you that we are a 1012 podcast covering all things Cincinnati Bearcats. So if you're not already, make sure to follow the 1012 Network and check out all the different shows, providing plenty of different views on all of the different schools within the Big 12. Got just about every single one of them covered. And a great mention to our friends at Charlie Hustle, bringing the awesome vintage threads all season long. So make sure to check out their website. We'll give you some cool recommendations for this weekend later. Joel, the Bearcats, we're in dire straits. I think you could argue right now, as much as it is just week 2, we're going into week 3 now. It's early in the season. You got 10 games left, guaranteed, maybe an extra one if you do good. The people are not feeling very good. And there's great reason for that. As you mentioned, blew a 27-6 lead. I'm going to chirp UCF real quick because shout out to you guys. We still don't have the largest lead blown in the Big 12 yet. That goes to you. Kudos to you guys for blowing a 35-7 lead. We just blew a 21-point lead. So it's okay. Fourth quarter mishap, third quarter mishap. It's not really okay. We're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. A lot of things went wrong here with a first half that looked great. Joel, from a person who was there in the stands, obviously fans packed it out. Great environment. Red Out looked beautiful. Fantastic afternoon for football. Give me one thing that made you feel really good about the Bearcats, and then we'll just go into all the shit that made you not feel good.
Well, football weather was back. We woke up Saturday morning, noon game, got right to tailgate early in the morning, and it was just one of those crisp fall mornings. Probably still fake fall. I'm sure we have another 100-degree week coming up soon.
For sure.
But it just felt like the perfect day for football in Nippert. And we got in. We started off hot, exactly like you said. Got up to that halftime lead, and the student section stayed. The fan base was rowdy and ruckus the entire game. And then slowly in that second half, everyone in that stadium had the gut feeling of something's about to happen. They're going to blow this somehow. And sure enough, they did. But I mean, going through that first half truly felt like, man, bowl eligibility doesn't sound too far off this year. Who knows? Maybe a 8, 9, 10 win season this year. And then, of course, events transpired and all that hope went right out the window.
Yeah, it sucks. It really just sucks. I mean, I think there's not really any one way to spin it other than just saying that, like, what happened in that game was just an absolute failure on all fronts in that second half, from coaching, from special teams, from offense, from defense, on execution, for all of it. Like, it just all fell apart at the seams. And what otherwise was a really, really good first half and felt really solid. I would even say it's not necessarily to, like, everything in the first half was to the credit of Cincinnati, and everything in the second half was to the credit and discredit of Cincinnati. I think Pitt played a solid game when it came to the second half, but realistically, Cincinnati did everything it needed to put itself in a position to win, and it did everything absolutely possible to remove itself from contention for winning that game. I'm going to read off a few things here that I just kind of found interesting about this game. Of course, the loss really hurts. Here's some things that I think were really interesting. For Pitt, averaged 6.8 yards per carry as a team throughout this game. So clearly, the run defense, a little bit ineffective, which is really scary and daunting considering you had Dante Corleone back. His grades were fantastic across PFF and some of the other rating sites. He looked great in this game, but the problem is one guy can only do so much. You can't expect him to do everything. His impact was noticeable. However, with so many pressures, there were so many times that they had a QB pressure in this game, and there was 2 sacks to account for the entire time. They were really putting the heat on Holstein, but nothing was really happening. And that's one of the things that I think is one of just the issues that's been plaguing us between last year and this year, is creating those just, this team has it on paper. They just don't have that thing that's that key turn where it's like, okay, you just do this one thing and now it's working. Like last year, there was always like the games were there to win, and there was a special teams mishap, or one drive you made some stupid mistakes and let somebody burn you for 70 yards. Like there's always just everything is going just right, and you're just one click away from winning, one click away from losing. And this is where I think that that coaching really comes into fold. And that's where, Joel, I'm going to give you this stat here. And I want to know what you think about this, because Sorsby did a fantastic job in the first half, was throwing a lot of great balls. Everything looked good. He was making great decisions. But the thing that was consistent throughout this entire game, no questions asked, was Corey Kiner. Corey Kiner had 7.5 yards per carry, which is fantastic. And personally, I feel that he was criminally underused in the final quarter, but really the back half of this game, just like we saw all last season. What are your thoughts on that? Because I think that's what lost us the game, unfortunately. A few bad calls in the wrong time.
You said it. He was underused. I mean, going back to another stat from our good friend Chad Brendel tweeted out, Corey Kiner finished with 20 carries for 149 yards. Pretty good, right? In the fourth quarter, he ran the ball 3 times for 43 yards in a game that the opponent erased a 21-point deficit to win by 1. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. Why would you take the ball out of the hands of your best player? We're running it down their throat. We're being effective in the run game all day, and you just abandon what got you that lead. It makes no sense whatsoever. To your point from earlier as well, we weren't getting pressure at all. I think there's something to say with that 3-3-5 defensive scheme, where there are different play styles that work better in the pros versus college, like triple option. You can't run the triple option in the NFL. Maybe the 49ers can, who knows? But the 3-3-5, we're just not getting pressure at all. And yes, we've got the Godfather, but you know, even the Godfather needs a crew to do his dirty work. He needs that support system. He can't be the only one crushing that line. And they just had way too much time to pick apart our defense, because we were holding them, to 6 points in the first half. And we just gave them way too much time to crawl back. And we did not, in doing so, we did not take enough time off the clock by running our best player.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's, again, the thing where it just feels like it's like there's just one really simple decision. And this is a thing that I think multiple people have talked about, but what I'm just going to reiterate here is when Scott Satterfield's in the position to like just go and get a game, go and take a game. I mean, we talked about this with Wes for so long. I feel like this year he showed it. Like he can go and do it. It's going to take some time, still get there. But with Scott Satterfield, it's like the game's there to win. It is yours. Like it's not the other team's. It is yours. You have the momentum. You've had it all game, and then something falls apart. It feels like when he comes out of halftime, he tries to like outsmart the other coach. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, guess what? Maybe it's Madden. Maybe it's College Football 25. Great game, by the way. You're sitting there. You're like, okay, you know what? I've passed the ball all but 3 possession or all but 3 drives this entire game. Guess what? Now, just when you think that I am going to pass the ball again, I'm going to rush it just to screw with you. And it's the other way around for this, where it's like the entire game, you're rushing the ball. It's so effective. And it's like Scott Satterfield's brain just says, yeah, let's just pass the ball because they won't be expecting that. It's like, no, they're already covering that. They've done a decent job of that. Like the run game is what's worked here. You don't need to outsmart them. You just need to keep going back to the well that does not stop giving. And for some reason, it just seems so fantastical of an idea that he just cannot grasp to just do the thing that works.
The vest, the visor, the glasses, they all scream football smarts.
Yeah.
But maybe all 3 of those, maybe you can only have 2. Maybe all 3 of them together is overthinking it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, like you joke, but like it's true though to a degree with Satterfield. It's just like I think everything that he does is just comes to overthinking it. Like he's put the Bearcats on paper together. Like he's put that team together in a fantastic way to go and win some Big 12 games.
Mm-hmm.
I think the roster's there. I think the talent's there. I think all the pieces are there. The problem is it comes down to scheme. That's what's winning you and losing you games. And I think, of course, there's some things where it's like you're going to have to like put some the players are going to have to shoulder a few mistakes here and there. But like you can't ask the players to shoulder mistakes. You can't put the game on the ref for one bad call at the end, which is what I think he got so caught up on. This is a classic Mick Cronin tactic where he would put everything on the refs and completely deflect the fact that he just blew a 22-point lead to the bottom. And we're not going to talk about that. Regardless, like this is the thing that he does every single time is he always deflects and he always puts the pressure on somebody else. And it's like, honestly, just go out there one time and take credit for a loss. Just say, you know what? We weren't prepared and we didn't do a good job. We got out coached today and it won't happen again. We need to do better. That's all you got to say.
And he said that in his presser today. He said, yeah, we probably could have ran Corey Kiner a few more times. Mm-hmm. You think? He also mentioned that Sorsby tweaked his ankle. And then looking back at game film, the next play after tweaking his ankle, they had a designed rollout for him. Like, if you have an injured quarterback, keep him in the pocket. If you have a star running back, keep him running the ball down people's throats. Like, it's just the simple common sense plays that you're right. He just tries to outsmart when you don't need to outsmart.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I think again, it's going to come down to, that realization of I don't know if it's going to happen in an away game, but in a home game, it's just going to be somebody screaming at you saying, it's working all game long. Just do it again. Like it's like he needs somebody to remind him, or maybe he's like too prideful to like accept that. Like, I don't even know. Like, dude, take credit for your work. Like you did a great job all game. But again, blowing a 21-point lead is on coaching. It is on the staff. It is 100% not on the players. Like it comes down to execution, all that, but your scheme should be able to slow the bleed, even if you lose momentum. But it should not just be an all-out head chopped off. This game's done. This guy's bleeding out. And he's dead. Like that is what happened in this game. You have to have some amount of control, and he lost all of it.
And it's even more embarrassing that it was a rival. And it's a rival that we don't get to play every year. Like, thankfully, we have West Virginia in our conference again, where we have a natural rival. And not saying UCF isn't a rival, because we definitely started a rivalry in our AAC games. But, you know, West Virginia losing to Miami last year. Yes, we beat Pitt last year, but they beat us this year and, like, have the most recent claim to the head-to-head. He, you know, sat on the sidelines for the UC Louisville bowl game a couple years ago, but I'll go ahead and throw that loss on him too. So we haven't won a true rivalry game, or at least don't have the most recent win, and that's really embarrassing, and that really stinks to say. Especially, I mean, you heard Pat Narduzzi's comments last week about, I don't remember Nippert being that loud. We played that clip in the stadium after the third quarter. but like going into the fourth quarter, we played that clip, and then the regular like go get loud, like everyone cheering, and we showed them like the amount of times we were chanting "Eat shit, Pitt," like how loud we were, how rattled they were. We had them on the ropes, and then just that simple, dumb play calling and decisions cost us that. Did you see any of the clips of the Pitt players coming over to the student section afterwards?
Yep.
That was rough to see firsthand. Because it was, just watching them, hearing them, that's one where you just have to take it on the chin. Like, yep, you beat us. You get to rub our nose in it now because, everything we were saying now we got to take back.
Well, and I think the point that you made too about the rivalry games just as a whole, it sucks. Like, if you look at it plainly, like, okay, UCF, I hate this. This is what like everybody else who's like not a fan of the Bearcats enjoys so much, and we're all suffering with this. Is UCF, they've won what, the last 3 straight? Okay, so most recent game with that sucks. All right, cool. Move on. Miami. Oh, you beat them 16 times straight. Oh, guess what? Nope, they got the trophy. That's theirs. That's theirs right now. Oh, yeah. Also, Pitt, the paddle wheel trophy that we love and we've had forever. Oh, yeah. No, that's theirs now. Like, it's every single, like, kind of tight rival. West Virginia too. Like, oh, guess what? They got that one too. Louisville. Oh, guess what? They got that one too. There were 5 rivals that you would consider your top 5 rivals. All of them have beat you more recently. All of them have the most recent win. You have 0 Zada Zilch. That's it. Some of it goes back to the Fickle era, but I mean, let's look. West Virginia, UCF, Miami, Pitt, all of those through the Satterfield era within a year and a half, and you've lost all of them. That is just like, people wonder just how fast you can lose a fan base. That's how you do it. If you can't win a single rivalry game against anybody that your fan base finds as an important game, you are going to lose them, and you're probably not going to get them back. People are screaming. Like, I think Satterfield could literally go like 8-2 the rest of this year, and people are still going to call for his head. Like, I think people are going to be so pissed off. Like nothing is going to be enough just because of just how bad the sour taste in everybody's mouth is. It's going to take multiple seasons of doing that, and I don't think that's a clock that he has.
If we were to go 10-2 this year, and our losses are Pitt and Miami, we make the playoffs at 10-2. We win the Big 12 or a share of it, or go in as an extra team, whatever the case may be. 10-2, unless we win a national championship and we lose to Miami and Pitt, absolutely inexcusable. Get his ass out the door. Like, these rivalries mean so much. And when we're not in conference with, the majority of them, and Miami's now, that rivalry may not be a thing in the future. Yeah. We only have so few chances left. Don't waste them.
Yep. And, this is a thing that's really unfortunate about the modern era of college football is with realignment, with the way that everything is constantly shifting, you might have more opportunities in the future. However, like you said, a lot of those windows are closing. A lot of those longtime rivalries, if you look at the Pac-12, games that have like an 80-game list of matchups between 2 teams, those are done. Like, I mean, it's crazy how much this has changed. And Miami is just going to be another one that adds to that list. I think it goes to both schools. Miami was sick of playing that game because they were tired of losing it. They got one over. UC was sick of playing that game because it didn't give them any credit. Now maybe the tides have shifted a little bit, and that doesn't just go with Miami just winning one game. I think Miami is going to be a pretty strong MAC contender. Cincinnati's in the Big 12 now. Maybe you need a quote-unquote cupcake game, but this is a thing that's going to be a revolving conversation as time goes on. And like you said, you have to take advantage of those opportunities when they come, and timing is everything right now. You have to win the games at the right time to put your fan base in a comfortable position to where they can feel good about the future, because with everything being like, pay me now, I need money now, I need, transfers in, out the door, like nobody's staying for 4 years anymore. People want the instant gratification. That's the world that we live in. And so you have to be able to give that in some degree. But right now it's a whole lot of nothing. So all of that is a setup. We went way longer than we were supposed to on this, but it's fine because that's how it is. We talked a lot about SAP.
We're angry. We have a lot to say. And we could be more angry after this weekend. Hopefully we're not.
Hopefully we're not. God, please, hopefully we are not. We'll tap into the Miami preview here in a second. We've kind of hit on a lot of these different things. I had some notes from the presser. I think we've kind of covered a bunch of that. I'm just going to ask you straight up, Joel, like if I were to just ask your opinion right now, you kind of gave it to me with the way you talked about the playoff. I think that's a bit of a stretch. If this brother gets us into a Big 12 championship, all sins are forgiven. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if you lose to Miami and then you go to the Big 12 championship, that fucking sucks. But you made it to the Big 12 championship. You prove that you can grow as a team over the course of the year and you can beat the hardest teams on your schedule and you might just lose to the weakest ones, but who cares? You got there. I think that's an exception. But realistically, that ain't going to happen. No. So Joel, I need you to tell me, how do you feel right now about Scott Satterfield? If like going into this game, what does this game mean? What does the result of this game mean for you?
If we don't win this weekend, don't let him on the bus. Leave his ass in Oxford. Put him in a cornfield. I do not care. Do not let this man back in 5-1-3. If he wins, let's see what the Big 12 season brings. Let's see where we finish. But I mean, as of right now, what can you sell me on? What has he done well?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be the one to do it. Like, I'm going to leave that to somebody else.
Louisville was thankful that we took him off their hands.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen in sports.
Yep.
You go and you poach a coach. That team is normally upset. Oh, now they have to look for a new coach. Mm-hmm. If the team you steal from is grateful, that's a red flag. There's a 911 right there. It was not a popular hire at the time, and it's looking worse by the day.
Yeah, I mean, this is fun. It's funny you mentioned that because I don't want to go into super length about this. We'll come back to the SAT thing here in a sec. But, a certain team lost this week that was not the Bearcats. That also happens to have a poached coach that we might like to have back. So in the thought, this is that same kind of conversation as if there was a team that let go of a coach and another team came in and poached him, I would hope that the Bearcats would be on the right side of this time. Yeah. I think I'm going to ask you this right now, actually. This is a great time to bring this up. If Satterfield were to just blow it, right? He loses to Miami, then he'll lose to Houston. Easiest games on the schedule. You're not getting anything else after that. If this guy just goes and sucks for the rest of the season and they decide we're going to pay a buyout and we're going to get this guy out of here, we're going to get a new guy in, would you rather go 2-10 and end up with Marcus Freeman, or go bowl eligible and keep Scott Satterfield and see what happens in the next year?
I don't like this hypothetical.
It's aggressive.
I mean, I love Marcus Freeman.
Or any good coach. Let's put it that way.
I've been a secondary Notre Dame fan just because he's such a good and easy guy to root for. Much better than Brian Kelly, of course. And I was at that Cincy Notre Dame game up in South Bend, and Notre Dame fans were nothing but nice, nothing but classy. Even in the loss, they were saying good game as we were changing down the drive, leaving their stadium. So I've been a secondary Notre Dame fan just because I want to see Marcus Freeman and essentially the entire Cincinnati Bearcats coaching staff do well. Would I want him back? Sure, why not? Let's see what he can accomplish here at Cincinnati. Realistically, is Cincy a lower step than Notre Dame? Absolutely it is. We want to have high expectations for ourselves, but it's not Notre Dame. Notre Dame is one of the most storied programs in college football. Let me know when UC has a Rudy shot after them. I wouldn't mind having Marcus Freeman back. I know that's been the talk of the town, since we lost a bit. But just give me an up-and-coming coach. This reeks more than the Tuberville hire, because at least Tuberville won games.
Yep.
We hate being called the stepping stone. When you have gosh, we had Butch Jones, we had Brian Kelly, Luke Fickell, and oh gosh, who was the Michigan State coach for the longest time? D'Antonio?
Yeah.
No.
D'Antonio.
Yeah. I thought I was about to drop Izzo, but that's basketball. Like, we've been a stepping stone, and yes, it sucks when that happens to us, but you know, it gives us that glimmer of hope that the program's on the way up. When we hire a Satterfield, it only brings us back down lower and makes the job that much harder for the next guy. So
Yep.
I love Marcus Freeman, but if it's not him, just give me some young up-and-coming coach who wants to just score. Like, we're in the Big 12. Bring in something that's just going to give us those 50-point games.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I think a lot of people are kind of faced with this sort of duality where it's like, it's almost, it's reminiscent of the teams in the NBA before, you know, they screwed up the whole lottery thing, where it was like the normal lottery. It's like, oh yeah, you're the worst team in the league. You get the number 1 pick. Done. Cool. I think a lot of people feel like they would rather just move on with this season and be done already. Like, they just want to get Satterfield out, which again, like, I think is, you have to give somebody time. The problem is everything that we're seeing with the issues in the games from last year and this year, it's not a talent issue. We had a lot of really good guys last year. We have a lot of really good guys this year. We have a lot of football left. However, so many of the reasons that we lost games last year, and so many of the reasons that we will lose games this year, we are bound to lose games, and it's going to be the same thing that we're seeing over and over again, is because these issues within Satterfield's scheme and system are systemic.
Yep.
They run all the way through the roots, and it's not like, Satterfield, you're a shitty person and you're a bad guy and I don't like you. It's not that. It is just that this guy's scheme, it didn't work at Louisville. It didn't work in the power conference. He was on his way out the door. We gave him the bailout, and everybody knows, because people talk, a big portion of that has probably something to do with a booster for Cincinnati who really liked Scott Satterfield, and that's a big reason why he's probably in this role, and you're hiring a coach who's fired on his way out.
Nope.
If you don't hire him. Like that, there's so many things that like just reek that this is just some like just stupid move that like otherwise the average college probably would not have made. Like, if you were a G5 team, you're probably going to look to hire a Scott Satterfield. If you are a Power 5 team, you are staying 10 steps away from Scott Satterfield in this situation that was at Louisville. Like, and that's the thing, is like, I don't dislike his offensive scheme. I don't dislike the way that the game is run. I vehemently hate all of the little issues that pile up every single time. You're not looking for perfection, but you're also looking for some amount of consistency that shows that there is a way to win a game every single week. And every single week last year, it was a different problem every single time. And I think it's probably going to be more of the same this year.
It's momentum that we want to see. We want to see our program trending upwards, and we're not seeing that. Granted, it's week 2 of, what is this, his second year, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just want to see the program move in the right direction. We're in the Big 12. We got that huge hurdle out of the way. The practice facility is looking great.
Yeah.
Still work to do, but like the program has like put the pieces in place. And unfortunately, like the Fickell move, the Freeman move, like, yeah, that was a step backwards, but we shot ourselves in the foot with this Satterfield hire. And
timing.
You know, it's his second year after week 2. Should we give him a chance? Who's to say? Because it's not me at this point.
But not any of us.
Exactly. Like, who's going to pay that buyout? If I win the lottery tomorrow, I'll be the one to do it. But you know, I also don't want to talk too long about whether Satterfield's the guy or not. It's, we're talking ourselves in circles, saying the same thing over and over again. What's the definition of insanity, Justin?
Doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's exactly how I described his red zone offense last year. Joel, Speaking of red zone, a team that is very good at shutting teams down in the red zone, Miami. We move on. This is a long time coming. We've been waiting just about 365 days to get our shot back at Miami after losing a game, unfortunately, to them at home. Overtime situation. It sucks. I think this is one of those things where, again, like you can look back on it. It's like there was a lot of things that could have gone wrong last year, and you got the Pitt one over. It just happened to work. And then you look at the Miami game, you're like, wow. You know, if there was a game to just screw up at the beginning of the year, that one was not one of them. You know, and that I think just builds a lot of ill will. However, we are here looking to get the bell back. I think the Bearcats have a very, very good shot at this. I think everything that we've seen from them thus far gives me reason to believe that we can do it. Comes down to execution, comes down to game management, comes down to so many of those little micro decisions that are going to be very, very important in trying to get one over and get that bell back. Joel, the spread for this game is 2.5. And if actually, I think when I just looked, it moved up to 3.5 as of like an hour ago, before we made all of our spreads here. If this game is a 2.5 point spread, 3.5 point now, what are the vibes here? Like, do you think that this is a game that's going to actually be tight, or do you think this is one where we have all just got our panties in a twist after a really shitty one game and we just need to let it go, and the Bearcats are going to go out there and beat the crap out of Miami?
Justin, I'm scared. Look, the Bearcat players are hungry. Like, they know they just got embarrassed at home. I think they know how big a deal it is that we lost to Miami last year. I know Sorsby said today, like, he was looking back at the history. He was, you know, gathering as much intel as he could to truly know the rivalry. Mm-hmm. There's not much you need to know. We kicked their asses for 16 straight years, and then we lost last year. Mm-hmm. Get it back. Get the bell back. To that same point, I think Miami, like, has something to hang their hat on. Mm-hmm. That team, they were the ones that finally took the bell back last year. They brought a lot of returning players. They're at home this year. You know, normally it's either at Paul Brown or here.
Yeah.
They have a really good chance as well. And it's Miami. Who knows if they'll have full stands. But this could be the game where they pack that place and they actually create a rowdy atmosphere. And who knows if it rattles the Bearcats? I hope it doesn't, but we root for the Bearcats. Like, we root for the players. We have a lot of really talented players that I know can go in and get the job done. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be a back and forth game because both these teams are hungry. It's not like, you know, one team's walking in, you know, ranked in the top 25 with all this NFL talent, and it's just going to be a wash. The line's only a couple points. You just said it moved. Like, it could move again before we get to the game. Mm-hmm. I think this will be close, and I'm really, really worried that it could go, you know, not the Bearcats' way. But I will say, I'm excited that the game this year is not Oktoberfest weekend, because watching that game on the big screen downtown during the middle of Oktoberfest, that was brutal. That was a hard one to swallow, surrounded by, you know, the few Miami fans that were there, but it felt like you were leaving an away game because you were just getting chirped as you walked down the street to your car by anyone wearing Red Hawks gear.
Yep. Yeah, and this is one of those games that, again, like, nobody can emphasize the importance of this enough, that it's just like, you got to go out there and find a way to win it. Like,
this is your season.
Yes, this absolutely.
Nothing else matters if you don't win this game.
Yeah, and I honestly, like, I think I'm at the point with this too. Like, again, we've beaten a dead horse here, but I'll put this as a extra light on this. Is if the Bearcats don't win this game, everybody's going to be pointing fingers, and it's going to be at one or two people. It's going to be at Scott Satterfield, and it is going to be at John Cunningham. And especially, I think that this is a situation that if the Bearcats don't pull this off, Cunningham has to make a business decision. Like, I don't think that he will either way, but I think he has to make a business decision, which is going to say it's either this guy or both of us. But it is not going to be, it's not going to be nobody. It's going to be one or both of you. And I think that the pressure from the fan base after a loss like that, and I think the pressure from the administration and everybody else on the board that makes control of that hire for the AD is going to be pointing a lot of fingers at this guy saying something's got to give. And so I think that there's going to be pressure there if that's happening. However, I, Joel, think very strongly that this is a game that the Bearcats say, put up or shut up. We're tired of all the fans. We're tired of all these other people chirping and saying a bunch of shit, how this team can't go and win and that our coach sucks and all this. We want to go out there and we want to beat the shit out of Miami. We want to take that bell back to Clifton where it belongs. Like, this is the game to just go out there, and it might not happen, but go out there and like quadruple that spread, buddy. Like, put down like a 2 touchdown gap on this team and make a statement that says like, this is Cincinnati. This is our team. This is our trophy. This is the way that this rivalry goes. This is the game to put your stamp on it. I don't think they'll go that big, but I do think that they would cover a spread in this game.
Go up by a couple touchdowns and stay up by a couple touchdowns.
Yes. Hold a lead. Hold a lead. That is the goal of the day.
The players are in place. We can absolutely win this game. The coaching has to lead us there. Yep. Unless we're going to pull a UConn and all the players are just going to call nothing but audibles and hurry up offense the entire time. You know, we need that to factor in. We've got to get a lead and we've got to hold it.
Yep.
You know, let me see that and I'll be happy.
Yeah. I think that's all that anybody's really asking for here. So with that said, we're going to take a quick little break here and thank our sponsors, Charlie Hustle. Guess what, folks? It's fall, it's football season, which means there is plenty of great gear. Charlie Hustle has it for you. Make sure to head over to the website, www.charliehustle.com. Use the promo code 101215 for 15% off of all non-sale items. They've got some great ones there for you. Here's what we've got for you picked out today. We're going to move our little tab over here, and we're going to show you 2 shirts. I think that these would be fantastic for this weekend. Again, 2 script shirts because they're fun. You got 2 different options depending on how we go for the away this week. I think we're probably going to go black, white, black. I think that makes sense, and it looks great. If not, we probably go black, white, white, or some combination of that. Maybe we go white, white, white. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But Bearcats, again, the road team, and there's going to be some kind of white on that, which I mean, I think that's going to be the perfect one of these 2. It's going to be like 80 degrees, high 70s, and possibly hurricane weather. So we'll see what happens, but this would be a great layer as your shirt. And if not, it would go great under a poncho or a rain jacket, whatever you need. T-shirt weather. It's some version of t-shirt weather, however that looks, rain or shine. But again, use the promo code 101215 for 15% off, and make sure to check out their website for all of the rest of their collegiate collection. All of the Big 12s are included in there. All of the Cincinnati shirts are range from t-shirt to long sleeve to basketball to football, hoodies, you name it. They got it all. So go over to the website, check that out. And again, use that promo code 101215 for 15% off and get you some good, fresh gear. Joel, it is time that we make the official now predictions with our segment. VIVALACASH, bring me that money. Bring me the money.
Money, please.
Money, please. Daddy needs some money. Joel.
What?
The spread and the totals are officially updated. So, currently, the spread for the Bearcats, they are a 3.5-point favorite on the road in Oxford. Will the Bearcats cover? Yay or nay?
Yay.
Yay. Okay. I sit firmly with you.
As downer as I am, I'm still a hopeless optimist at heart.
Last week, I took them to not cover the 2.5-point spread, and they actually did not. So this week, I have to. It is. You have to. This is the only hope that you have left, is that they just cover the spread and do something. So I'm taking it.
Be wrong.
Hammer the Cats. That's what you want. You got to get the Cats in this game. The total has been updated from 45 to 46. Joel, game total 46, over under. Bearcats Miami. How's it end up?
It's no fun, but I think it's going to be under.
That's fair. That's fair. See, I placed my slip earlier today with the 45. The 46 actually kind of scares me. The 45, however, I think they're going to hit it. So I'm going to take the over. Joel's going to take the under. And at last, we already gave our covers or our spreads. So we already say that we're going to hammer the Cats. It's fine. We're taking the Bearcats each for the money line. It's impossible not to. Joe, that is what we've got for the Bearcats this week. But we have some more fun stuff. Again, we started this season. Steve is gone into the ether of marriage prep. So
RIP in peace.
RIP in peace, brother. We love you. We've got a few more things to give you before we get to our Big 12 head-to-head. So I'm going to list off the first one. You take one, and we're going to alternate as we go through this list. Our VIVALACASH. We ride. Now you got to give me the. Come on.
What?
It's the.
Oh, the
straps.
The rail. Or
straps.
Yeah.
We ride.
The reins.
Jockey. You know that like video of that guy who's like smacking his ass watching the horse racing?
Yes.
Yeah. This is that segment. This is that segment. Thank you. Gotcha. All right, Joel. To start us off, we got Arizona plus 235 for the midline at moneyline. I keep saying midline. Moneyline at K-State. This is a top 25 matchup. We've checked. It is the only top 25 matchup of the week, which is crazy. Very weak week 3 schedule. But Arizona, I think they look good. They didn't look so good this past week. Tetaroa, McMillan, Fafita, that combination is absolutely deadly. They put up 60 in week 1. I think they could put up a lot of points. It is going to be a helmet battle. You have script cats. I'm hoping that Kansas State just goes and puts out their script cats. We got to get them. We got to get them matched up on the line. I want to see a picture of it.
It's beautiful. The High School Musical game, Battle of the Wildcats.
There you go. There you go. See, this is why we bring Joel on. Yeah. Take the Wildcats in that game.
Take the Wildcats. Hammer the Wildcats.
Take Arizona. I think that's going to be a great one there. Joel, give me your next one. Or your first one.
It is one of 2 top 25 matchups this week.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
The game that I'm really interested in is Boston College and Mizzou. Boston College has really impressed this year, and we were just talking about those Luke Kuechly hype videos on Twitter and TikTok, and I'm gonna say Boston College will cover. It's a 17-point spread. I think that's easy money. I could be wrong, but I'm going with Boston College.
You're not going to be wrong. Come on. Boston College is a solid team.
Not outright, just to cover.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's 17 points. I get it's Mizzou. I get it's an SEC school. Boston College, put it on.
Florida State, that was one of Boston College's wins. But, hey, they look good in that game, so let's see what they can do.
They manhandled them with a rush game.
Yep.
All right, last one for me. Florida State to cover the 6.5-point spread against Memphis. That one seems risky. Seems really risky for them to cover. However, if you look deeper into the roots, our good old enemy, Norvell, is playing for the first time since he has got to Florida State, his former team, Memphis, and his former O-line coach, who is now the head coach of Memphis. This game is going to have some juice to it. However, I do think that Florida State and Mike Norvell are going to, especially Mike Norvell, there is no way that he is going to lose this game, but I think this is the game after what his start to the season has looked like is going to be I'm going to put my foot down and we're leaving the G5 in the past. This is my shit now. I am a CFP almost haver. Got it? Yeah. Florida State covering 6.5. Joel, hit me.
All right. We like points, right?
Yes, we do. We love points.
Love points. Ole Miss, lover of points as well. I am going Ole Miss Wake Forest over 63.5.
All right.
Ole Miss, high-powered offense, baby blue uniforms. You can't beat them. Hammer the over in that game. I really do think that's that'll be a high-scoring game.
It's a solid lock, and apparently people agree with you because it's already gone up to 64.5. So you might have to get on the 64.5. Now, is that going to be scary, Joel, now that it's updated 1 point?
Nah. I mean, they are at Wake Forest, so they're going to have to wear an away uniform. But Ole Miss has scored 76 and 52 in their 2 games this year. Granted, it was against Furman and Middle Tennessee State. But looking at Wake Forest as well, I mean, 45 points in a win over North Carolina A&T, and they did lose to Virginia, but still scored over 30 points. So let's see. Let's root for points.
Let's root for points. And for those of you who love some long odds here, let's just add this to that Ole Miss Wake Forest one. The money line for this game for Wake Forest, plus 1,100. So if you like the long odds, throw a little onesie on there. Let's see. What does a $1 get you there? $1 gets you $12. So throw a 1 on that game, see what happens. Maybe put a little cash in your pocket.
That is more than $1.
Exactly. $1 to get more than $1. Yes, that maths. And the spread for that game is 23.5. I think Wake could cover that. Pretty sure they could do it.
I don't know if Wake's going to cover, but I do think that it'll hit that over 63.
And that's going to be a lot of scoring from Ole Miss. So it's going to happen one way or another, but we'll see. Can Kiffin's squad put up the big numbers? We will find out. Joel, we're going to do our second to last segment here. Of course, we have the weekly Big 12 head-to-head, another new segment. We are bringing the fun, excitement this year. We're changing it up. Back half of our show, a little bit more college football. We'll see what happens when we get to basketball because this thing's going to become like an hour and a half when that happens. Before that, we're going to live in the moment here. We have 4 awards to give out each week. We gave them to you last week. We're going to give them to you again this week. Our Charlie Hustler of the Week for our Big 12 head-to-head is Arizona State's Cam Skatebo or Skatebo. I don't know how you say it. Brother put up 262 rushing yards on Mississippi State on the SEC. So punked them. Later, brother. Those are some big ass numbers, and that is deserving of the Hustler of the Week. Joe, I keep wanting to call you Steve. I might have actually done that through the show, and you probably caught it and didn't say anything. I'm so used to saying Steve. So, Joel, please, our Aspirinaholic game of the week.
Man, this was a game where we got home from the Cincy heartbreak. This was the first game we turned on. Iowa State taking the nail to the coffin at Iowa. Oh man, that was a fun game to watch. Very low scoring, but it's just always fun. Watching a rivalry game that you really have no stake in. But good for the Big 12 and Iowa State getting that.
Very fantastic for them. Always love seeing a Big 12 team get a win. That's what the Big 12 head-to-head's all about. And guess what? Iowa State, you may have sweat that one out, but it's another win for the Cy-Hawk Trophy, and that gets to be yours for the year.
I think I saw the away team has won like the last 5 years in a row.
It's a weird game.
I could be wrong on the exact number, but I remember seeing a similar stat where there was a decent duration of time where the away team just always won. And
it's always weird.
Yep.
It's the Cy-Hawk Trophy. It's always going to be weird. It's always going to be a funky game. And that's why you sweat it out. Joe, I don't want to do this. I created this award knowing full stop that at some point throughout the season, it was going to rear its ugly head and focus on our beloved Cincinnati Bearcats. It kills me to do this. This absolutely drains my aura and my soul to do this. Bozo of the week.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Bozo of the week is Cincinnati.
Bearcats. Oh, God, that hurts. I don't like doing that. Guys, we're not bozos. We're trying really hard here, okay? The fans, you showed up. You did a fantastic job. The game was there. You had it. You blew a 21-point lead. That is deserving of Bozo of the week. You can't spin it any other way. But you know how you could spin it another way? You could put some light on Colorado. You could put some light on Texas Tech. They both lost. Colorado just got trounced in Nebraska.
I mean, specific bozo for Shedeur Sanders for after the game, throwing his O-line completely under the bus. What are you doing?
And his draft stock at that.
They have leaders and dogs on their jerseys instead of the captain's patches. You're not a leader. You can wear the L, but it's not a leader patch. That's just a loss. Like,
that's a loser patch is what it is.
Loser. And here we are talking about losing. But yeah, just how do you know the amount of spotlight that's on you. You know how many people are cheering for your demise, and to just get your butt spanked and then completely deflect afterwards.
Oh, and to also say that, we're not good at running the ball. Why would we do that? Like, so there's so many different things about this that like I hated. So for our we did this last week and we could do it again this week. For our team of the week, Bozo of the Week award, unfortunately, it's the Bearcats. For our human of the week, Shedeur Sanders, there you go. And finally, our most watchable game of the week is Oklahoma State and Arkansas. An absolute, I guess you could call it shootout, a beautiful and ugly game at the same time. Oklahoma State ends up winning in double overtime. I don't know how else to spin it other than that's a Big 12 win over Arkansas and something that I wish we did 2 seasons ago, and we didn't. But yeah. Sam Pittman's going to be taking some heat. But overall, great win for Gundy, great win for the Cowboys, keeping their top 25 ranking and hopes in check there. They might have slipped back a little bit after that. I don't know. They might have gone up. I don't remember. But overall, very good game. Fun to watch.
A win's a win.
A win is a win is a win. And they are not easy to come by, as we know here. Joe.
We're not sad. We're not sad at all.
I didn't move it on our little outline. I forgot to do it. I always forget to do it, but it's fine. The outline's on the side. Don't pay attention to it. It's just part of the whole segment. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And finally, before we move on to our absolute final segment, the current leaderboard for the Big 12 head-to-head, which Joel will be taking he will just be gifted Steve's teams.
Great.
You don't get a choice. Great. Unfortunately, he kind of drafted a clunker team. No, he didn't. He drafted an interesting team. We'll see what happens. A lot of upside. I went for let's just try to make some wins here. This week, Joel's team / Steve's team and my team both went 5-3, splitting it right down the middle. 5-3 record for each half of the Big 12. That puts my team at 13-3 on the season and Joel / Steve's team at 11-5 on the season. So we are currently still 2 clicks ahead in the leaderboard, but we will be giving you an update every single week throughout the season, keeping track of that. And remember, the loser is forced to eat Gold Star and has to buy the Charlie Hustle merch of choice for the other friend. So Joel, you are just going to get to ride this one. So you can either, there's nothing you can do at this point. You can't even tank Steve. You could just.
So question for you.
Yes.
If you lose, do you have to buy merch for me, Steve, and any other of our wonderful guests that may sub in for Steve while he's out?
Oh, God. You too. I'll cap it at 2. I'll cap it at 2. So whoever shows up the most. There we go. Yeah, whoever shows up the most.
All right.
With that said, that covers our VIVALACASH, our Big 12 head-to-head, and finally, we have the Bearcats Sports Wrap-Up. Steve always puts this together, does a fantastic job, and I was not prepared. However, we will give you a quick rundown of the things that did happen over this past week. So, for the Bearcats Sports Wrap-Up, we have Women's volleyball at Bowling Green, winning 3-0 on the sets. Women's soccer winning 3-1 versus Eastern Michigan. Those were last Sunday. As of Thursday, women's soccer beat Butler in Cincy. Fantastic. Still keeping it rolling. We're just going through the composite right now. Men's golf visited the Knoxville Collegiate Tournament. Ended up 7th out of 15. Middle of the ground finish. You'll take it and move on. Women's volleyball 3-0 against IU Indy, and women's volleyball then later 1-3 loss on sets there against UAB in the Bellarmine Volleyball Classic. So I think it was just advanced sort of tournament style. And then we're not going to mention the football part of this because you already got enough of that. Women's volleyball still in the Bellarmine Volleyball Classic, beating the host Bellarmine 3-0 on sets. Fantastic job there. You love to see it. We've got a few more for you here. Women's soccer. Joel, you know what happened in this one.
Yeah.
Should we even mention it? They lost a game. They lost a game 1-0. It was a close game, and that's all that needs to be said.
Yep.
Yeah.
Against an out-of-city opponent.
Yeah, exactly. Against an out-of-city opponent. And for today and yesterday, I don't know if we actually have a result for this yet. I'd have to look a little bit deeper. Women's golf playing at the Power Cat Invitational. Hell of a name for an invitational. The Power Cat for Kansas State. They are currently participating and should have finished that up today. Looking forward throughout the rest of this week, women's volleyball and women's soccer, respectively playing at Xavier and West Virginia at home for women's soccer. Women's golf participating in the Cardinal Cup in Louisville. Cross country at the Big 10 preview, Fighting Illini Big 10 preview. So it's not like, Big 10. We're Big 12, baby. Up in Illinois. And then women's golf still competing there. We, of course, have the big game of the week for the Bearcats on the gridiron. Women's tennis at William & Mary's Fall Invitational. And women's volleyball plays Kent State at 1 p.m. on Saturday. That's what we got for the Bearcats Sports Wrap-Up. Not exactly the most succinct descriptions and in-depth detail that Steve provides. I will work on that. Maybe I can just contract him out. I'm like, come on, man. All right. Just give me the Bearcats Sports Wrap-Up. That's all I need each week.
We'll be better. We'll be better.
But you know who's going to continue to be better? You fans who live in Clifton and live in Cincinnati. Keep going out to all their games. Keep showing up. Show the fan support for all the other sports. It's not all just about football. It's not all just about basketball. All these teams put their blood, sweat, and tears into that CPAL, and you need to show that love back to them too. So if you can, if you're around the city, check out a few of those games when they're in town. Women's volleyball is exciting. It's fun. Soccer's fun. It's exciting. Get out there. Show them some love. Joel, that's all we got for this week. We kept it under an hour. We got you back on the mic. It is fantastic to have you. We've missed having you on the airways. Unfortunately, we didn't have like the three of us collectively. We need the three of us here to really feel wholesome.
Maybe we do a brief stint at the wedding.
Yes. Steve very intelligently planned by accident a bye week for his wedding. So just you could not write it any better.
It wasn't an accident.
It wasn't an accident.
There's no chance about it.
Yeah.
No luck or anything. This was all strategery.
All strategery. Now, Joel and I are going to go watch two people yell at each other on TV. For those of you who listened this week, thank you very much. We enjoyed having you, and we hope that you were paying attention all throughout the week. Do remember that on Thursdays, we drop our weekly Bearcats Super Sim via EA CFB 25. So check that out. It was fun last week, had a fantastic ending to the first 2 weeks, actually. It was very fun. And we'll just have to keep track of how accurate that is. But so far, not too shabby. Doing a pretty fun job there. And as always, make sure to check out the podcast on all the platforms. Leave a review, subscribe to us, share us with your friends. Still trying to grow this thing, but we love having you all here that are each of you that are here this week. So thank you, Joel. Thank you, listeners. Take it easy. And as always, go Bearcats. Viva la Cats. Yeah, you missed that, buddy, didn't you? It's like,
yeah, I sure did.
Just the edge.